There were 17 different comic books published with a cover date of April 1938 in the United States. Comics on Parade #1 debuted by United Features Syndicate with a cover date of April 1938. This popular new series would run 17 years, lasting 104 issues. The first issue featured Tarzan by Hal Foster, Captain and the Kids, Little Mary Mix-Up, Abby and Slats, Ella Cinders, Bronco Bill, Little Abner, and many others. The cover features of all the main characters posed together, including Tarzan. This is one of the most important comic book series debuting in 1938. It was the second longest running title ever for United Features Syndicate, and their second ongoing title. Funny Pictures Stories Laundry Giveaway. This is a no-number one-shot published by Centaur Publications in 1938. It is a promotional comic. A copy of the comic would normally have been printed with the name of a local laundry on the covers and inside, but this was one of the copies that was used to promote the idea to the laundry owners and has the generic Your Laundry name printed on those locations instead. The comic has 16 pages. It is not clear if this promotional version is scarcer than a finished one with the laundry name printed on it, and which version the Overstreet Price Guide refers to. The contents differ from the regular issue of this series with the same cover. Feature Funnies #7, published by Quality Comics, cover date April 1938. The Clock, Dixie Duggan, Jane Arden, Gallant Knight, and Ned Bryant are some of the feature characters. Parts of this issues are reprinted from Wags comic. This is the UK edition published by Editors Press Service. Issue number 36 and issue number 65. Some of the highlights include Mickey Finn on the cover, drawn by Lank Leonard. And Gallant Knight is a 4-page story written and drawn by Vernon Henle. This historical title features Tyrone Neville as the Gallant Knight in his first appearance. And this is reprinted from Wags UK edition, issue number 64. Lollapalooza returns in a 4-page story written by writer-artist Rube Goldberg, and it reprints the Frank J. Markey Syndicate strip. The Superhero, The Clock, returns in a 5-page story from writer-artist George E. Brenner, featuring The Clock and Captain Kane, and this reprints from Wags magazine as well. Hawks of the Seas is a 4-page story from writer-artist Will Eisner. The historical story features Hawk and the villain Carlos, and it is reprinted from Wags UK number 34. Clip Chance at Cliffside is a 5-page story from writer-artist George Brenner using the alias Scott Sheridan, and it features the first appearances of the characters Clip Chance, Slim, Chink, and Bart. Funny Pages, Volume 2, Number 7, published by Centaur Comics, April 1938. This is the second issue from Centaur, and it had just taken over the title the month earlier. This issue features numerous funny strips, westerns, etc. There is a Billy Wright pedigree copy of this issue. Funny Picture Stories, Volume 2, Number 7, from Centaur Comics, April 1938. Gerber calls this issue scarce, estimating between 20 and 50 copies exist in any condition. The cover art is by Fred Schwab. Grin and Laugh is a 1-page story written by Kermit Jadaker under the alias Kermit Ray, with art by Ray Gill, also signed as Kermit Ray. The humor title by Ray Gill, born March 11th, 1918, lived until April 1st, 1984. Ray Gill was an American comic book writer, artist, and editor for Funnies, Inc. on a great many features between 1937 and 41. He did his early scripts for Centaur Comics titles, while also providing art for the feature Pals and Pastimes. He wrote and illustrated fillers for Lev Gleason's New Friday imprint in 1939. Throughout the 1940s, Ray Gill was writing scripts for various timely and novelty comic features, co-creating Airman and Terry Vance. He also did the art for a couple of these features, including Mighty Mouse, Super Rabbit, and Edison Bell. He also was an artist for Archie Comics during this period. By the 50s, Gill was doing editorial work for Stanley Publications and Fawcett, where he was senior editor on Fawcett's How To line of books. His final comic book art was with characters like Junior Hop and Peter Cottontail for Stanmore Comics in 1952 to 54. Don't Look Now is a 1-page story from artist Paul Gustafson. And Gustafson also gives us Laughing at Life, a 1-page story where he signed his initials PG. And also Phony Crimes is a 5-page strip from Paul Gustafson. Insurance Ike is a 1-page story from writer-artist Jack Cole. Charles Biro gives us Rough House Annie. Paul Gustafson also gives us Nothing But the Truth in a 1-page story. Jim Comes Through is 5 pages, written and drawn by Maurice Gutworth. Gutworth was a Golden Age comic artist working through studios like Chesler, Eisner, Iger, and Funnies Inc. Early work includes Centaur features like Doc Doyle, Lucky Doyle, Master Detective, and Sky Menace. He drew, among others, Dr. Frost in Prize Comics, and worked on Archie features like Bentley of Scotland Yard, Secret Assignments, and Silver Fox. For better publications, he illustrated American Eagle in Exciting Comics, Jimmy Cole, Lucky Lawrence, and Sergeant Bill King. He was the creator of USA Comics' first female super patriot for Quality Comics. He was present at Timely and Atlas with Captain America, The Falcon, Human Torch, and Phantom of the Underworld, and at Ace Periodicals with Buckskin, Marvo the Magician, Vulcan, and Sky Smith. The Comics, number 7, published by Dell Comics, April 1938. Some of the highlights include Rod Ryan of the Sky Police, a 4-page story written by Paul Jepson. This is an early science fiction story that later would run in Flash Comics number 2 through 11 at DC Comics starting in 1940. Gordon Fife and the Boy King appears in the 3-page story written by Bob Moore with art by Carl Pfeiffer. The Mystery of the Hooded Horseman is a 4-page story from writer Norman Fallon. Fallon was a comic book inker in the 40s during the Golden Age comics. He worked on titles like Batman and World's Finest alongside artists such as Dick Sprang and Jerry Robinson. His first DC work was Batman number 19. Ted Strong is a 4-page story from writer-artist Al Carino. Carino, born 1905, lived until 1964, originally born in Mexico City. He was asked to do a comic strip, which resulted in the western Ted Strong. Then, Al Carino went on to comic book illustration, working variously at Fox, Fawcett, National, Prize, Marvel, Pines, and Ziff Davis through the 40s and 50s. He worked on titles such as Ibis, Red Gaucho, Captain Marvel, and The Blue Beetle. In the 50s, he also became active in the National Cartoonist Society and became the NCS membership chairman. He also worked on 1950s Atlas Horror. Star Comics number 11, published by Centaur Comics, April 1938. Gerber rates this book a 9 for very rare. There is a Billy Wright pedigree copy of this book. Sources list this as the first published comic book art by Jack Cole, but this is not his first, as we have mentioned him previously. The cover art is by Jack Cole, and Jack Cole gave us Belly Laughs, a 1-page strip he drew. Gertie the Cashier is a 1-page humor story, and the strip includes images of Mickey Mouse, W.C. Fields, Clark Gable, Charlie Chaplin, Katharine Hepburn, Stan Laurel, Jimmy Durante, Betty Boop, Frankenstein, Oliver Hardy, Greta Garbo, and Groucho Marx. Salute to a Teacher is a 1-page story drawn by Fred Gardenier. Little Nemo in Slumberland returns from Bob McKay under the alias Windsor McKay Jr. in his supernatural story originally started by his father. Professor McScrewy is a 1-page story, art possibly by Fred Gardenier. King Cole is a 2-page story, art possibly by Jack Cole. The Prince is a 1-page story, and it's believed that this could possibly be written and drawn by Basil Wolverton. If so, this would be his first comic book work. Down Through the Ages is a 2-page story, drawn by Fred Gardenier and features Robin Hood. Dan Hastings is a 7-page story written by Ken Fitch with art by Fred Gardenier. Don Marlowe is a 4-page story written by Ken Fitch, also with art by Fred Gardenier. This is an early science fiction comic strip. And Tell Me, Mr. Wise Guy is a 1-page strip drawn by Paul Gustafson. Star Ranger number 11, published by Centaur Comics, April 1938. This is the 2nd issue published by Centaur. Fred Schwab did the cover artwork, and there is a Fred Gardenier centerfold. Cover art by Fred Schwab. Feature Books number 12, published by David McKay Publications, April 1938, focuses on Blondie. Gerber rates this an 8 or rare, and it features Blondie in her first solo comics venture. Blondie is featured on the cover with the characters Dagwood and Baby Dumpling. In total, Chick Young writes and draws 71 pages worth of Blondie strips in this issue, reprinting from the Blondie King Features strips from February 2nd, 1937 through June 5th, 1937. Ace Comics number 13, published by David McKay Publications, April 1938. Joe Musial did the artwork featuring the characters Barney Google and the Katzenjammer Kids. There is a 4-page story written and drawn by Alex Raymond called In the Search for Peter Hawkins' Lost Son. Blondie appears in a 4-page story from Chick Young, even though she is featured in feature book number 12 that same month from a different publisher. And the Phantom returns in his 3rd comic book appearance from writer Lee Falk with art by Ray Moore in this Jungle superhero title. Detective Comics number 14, published by DC Comics, April 1938. There is a Billy Wright pedigree copy of this issue. The cover art is by Craig Flussel, featuring the character Speed Saunders in the detective mystery issue. Speed Saunders is featured in a 6-page story written and drawn by Craig Flussel. Will Eli gives us The Law at Work, 1-page story, and Larry Steele, a 6-page story. Oil from China is a 2-page story written by Vincent Sullivan under the alias Paul Dean with art by Craig Flussel. Spy returns in a 4-page story from Siegel and Schuster and features the first appearance and death of Basil Montag. And Slam Bradley returns in a 13-page story from Siegel and Schuster featuring the first appearance and death of The Boss. And Quentin Roosevelt, Heroic Fighter, is a 1-page story written and drawn by Will Eli. The Funnies 19, published by Dell Comics, April 1938, features a cover of Mutt and Jeff. Some of the other highlight characters include Alley Oop, Captain Easy, Major Hoople, Out Our Way, and many others. Dan Dunn appears in a 4-page story from writer-artist Norman Marsh. Don Dixon and the Hidden Empire is a 2-page story from writer Bob Moore and art by Carl Pfeiffer in this early science fiction comic strip, reprinted from Don Dixon and the Hidden Empire Sundays at the Daily Eagle. And Tad of the Tanbark is a 1-page story also from Bob Moore and Carl Pfeiffer, reprinted from the Tad of the Tanbark Sundays at the Daily Eagle. Tailspin Tommy returns in a 3-page story written by Glenn Chafin with art by Hal Forrest in this aviation title, reprinted from the Tailspin Tommy Sundays at the Bell Syndicate. And 4 Aces is 2 pages from writer-artist Hal Forrest, his aviation story reprinted from the 4 Aces Sundays, also at the Bell Syndicate. Sheldon Mayer gives us Scribbly in 2 pages. Tip Top Comics number 24, published by United Features Syndicate, April 1938, features a Tarzan cover. Little Abner appears in a 4-page story written and drawn by Al Cap. Other popular characters include Ella Cinders, Jim Hardy, Fritzy Ritz, and Bronco Bill. King Comics number 25, published by David McKay Publications, April 1938. The cover art is by Joe Musial and features the characters Popeye, Olive Oil, and Henry. Highlights inside include Thimble Theater, 4 pages worth, written and drawn by E.C. Cigar, which features Popeye and the gang. Flash Gordon appears in a 4-page story from writer Don Moore with art by Alex Raymond in this early science fiction title, featuring the characters Flash Gordon, Dale Arden, and Hans Jarkov, reprinted from the Flash Gordon Sundays at the King Features Syndicate from July 4th, 1937 through July 25th, 1937. Jack Burnley draws Sport features. Mandrake the Magician appears in a 4-page story from writer Lee Falk with art by Phil Davis in this early fantasy supernatural story. And it's reprinted from the Mandrake the Magician Sundays at King Features Syndicate, dated July 4th, 1937 through July 25th, 1937. Popular Comics number 27 from Dell Comics, April 1938. At this time, Maxwell Gaines is the editor and Sheldon Mayer is the assistant at Dell Comics. All Chicago Tribune strips will move to a new title starting next month, so we'll find that this is the last issue of the Chicago Tribune strips in this issue. The cover features the Gumps, Harold Teen, Smitty, and Little Orphan Annie. Dick Tracy appears in a 4-page story written and drawn by Chester Gould in this detective mystery, reprinted from the Dick Tracy Sundays, dated March 7th, 1937 through March 28th, 1937. The next appearance of Dick Tracy would now be in the new title Super Comics number 1, starting next month. Little Orphan Annie appears in a 4-page story from Harold Gray from the Little Orphan Annie Sundays, originally printed February 28, 1937 through March 21, 1937. The next appearance would be in Super Comics #1 next month. Harold Teen appears in a 1-page story written and drawn by Carl Ed. The teen title from the Chicago Tribune would now start appearing in Super Comics #1 starting next month. Smiling Jack appears in a 2-page story from creator Zach Mosley, and it comes from the Smiling Jack Sundays at the Chicago Tribune, dated May 3rd, 1936 through May 10th, 1936, and would next appear starting next month in Super Comics #1. Gasoline Alley, 2 pages long from creator Frank King, would have its last appearance in this title, as it would start to appear next month in Super Comics #1. Winnie Winkle the Breadwinner is a 2-page story from Martin Branner, reprinted from the Winnie Winkle Sundays, dated April 26, 1936 through May 17, 1936. And next month it would start to appear in Super Comics #1. Terry and the Pirates is a 2-page story from Milton Caniff, reprinted from the Sunday Terry and the Pirates, dated August 2nd, 1936 through August 9th, 1936. Little Joe is a 2-page story from Ed Leffingwell, and it's from the Chicago Tribune and would start to appear next month in Super Comics #1. Don Winslow of the Navy is a 2-page strip from writer Lieutenant Commander Frank V. Martinek, USNR, with art by Leon Baroth, and it is reprinted from the Don Winslow Sundays, dated October 18th, 1936 through November 8th, 1936. Moon Mullins appears in a short story from Frank Willard and would start next month appearing in Super Comics #1. Mickey Mouse Magazine #31, also known as Volume 3, #7, published by Western Publications, April 1938, features the 7 Dwarfs in a special Easter cover. Famous Funnies #45 from Eastern Color, April 1938. There's a Mile High pedigree copy of this book from the Edgar Church collection, and also a Lost Valley pedigree copy. The cover features Big Chief Wahoo in his second appearance from artist Victor Pazmino. Buck Rogers appears in a 4-page story from writer Phil Nolan with art by Dick Elkins in this early science fiction strip, copyright John F. Dilley. War on Crime returns in a 3-page story from writer Rex Collier with art possibly by Kemp Starrett. This is the first modern crime series. And Bobby returns in a 1-page story from S.M. Iger, aimed at young readers, copyright Eisner Iger.